In recent years, a striking pattern has emerged among the world's wealthiest individuals. Billionaires and ultra-high net worth figures are quietly investing vast sums into fortified underground doomsday bunkers designed to survive extreme global catastrophes. While public explanations often cite generic concerns such as social instability or economic collapse, many observers believe a far deeper fear is driving this sudden rush underground. According to insiders and independent researchers, these preparations are linked to growing concern over a potential geophysical event that could radically reshape the planet and alter human history forever. Although the geophysical event remains theoretical, its implications are severe enough that some of the most informed and resource-rich people on Earth appear unwilling to dismiss it. These bunkers are not simple shelters. They are self-sustaining underground complexes, capable of housing families and staff for years, complete with artificial lighting systems, independent power generation, water purification, medical facilities, food production, and massive reinforced structures designed to withstand seismic upheaval and surface devastation. The scale of these projects suggests that their builders are not preparing for short-term disruption, but for a scenario that could permanently transform the surface of the planet. According to multiple insiders, there is growing unease among the super-rich that a rare but catastrophic geophysical process is approaching. This process is known as the exothermic core mantle decoupling and Jan Beckoff oscillation theory, developed by a researcher known as the ethical skeptic. At its core, the theory proposes that changes deep within the Earth could cause the planet's outer shell to partially decouple from its core, leading to a sudden and dramatic reorientation of the surface. To understand why this idea is taken seriously by some elites, it helps to understand how the Earth is structured. The planet is composed of a solid inner core and a molten outer core made largely of iron, surrounded by a thick, rocky mantle and topped by the crust where human civilization exists. Under normal conditions, these layers rotate together as a single system, bound by gravity and magnetic forces. The liquid outer core generates Earth's magnetic field, which acts like a stabilizing clutch, keeping the core and mantle aligned in their rotation. The exothermic core mantle decoupling theory suggests that this coupling can weaken under certain conditions. According to the theory, the inner core periodically undergoes a phase change in its iron crystal structure. When this happens, material is shed into the outer core and the base of the mantle. This process releases latent heat, similar to the energy released when molten metal solidifies. Over time, this excess heat migrates upward, warming the oceans and atmosphere in ways that cannot be fully explained by surface-based models alone. Supporters of the theory point to recent observations that appear to align with this idea. Ocean temperatures reached unprecedented levels in the year 2023, surpassing expectations generated by conventional forecasting. At the same time, Earth's magnetic field has been steadily weakening over the past century, a fact acknowledged by mainstream geophysicists. This weakening suggests that the magnetic grip binding the core and mantle together may be loosening. There is also evidence that Earth's rotation has subtly changed. Measurements show that the length of the day has varied by milliseconds over recent decades, with Earth spinning slightly faster at times. A study by NASA highlighted a correlation between long-term changes in Earth's rotation and shifts in global temperature patterns. These variations are known to be linked to movements within the liquid outer core, reinforcing the idea that deep Earth processes can influence surface conditions. According to the exothermic core mantle decoupling theory, as the magnetic coupling weakens, the mantle and crust could begin to rotate independently of the core. In simple terms, the outer shell of the Earth could start to skid over the inner layers. This decoupling would destabilize the planet's rotational balance, potentially causing the geographic poles to drift rapidly. A critical element of the theory involves two massive structures deep beneath Africa and the Pacific, known as large, low-shear velocity provinces, or LLVPs. These regions are thought to be unusually dense. If they become heated by rising energy from the core, they could lose density, altering Earth's internal mass distribution. When that balance shifts, the planet naturally seeks a new rotational equilibrium. This process could trigger what is known as true polar wander, a phenomenon where the Earth's surface reorients itself relative to its spin axis. Normally, such changes occur over millions of years. However, This theory suggests that under the right conditions, the reorientation could happen over decades or even years. The Jan Beckoff oscillation adds an even more dramatic possibility. This effect, observed in rotating objects, shows that rotation around an intermediate axis is unstable. A spinning object like a book or phone can suddenly flip 180 degrees mid-rotation before stabilizing again. Applied to Earth, the theory suggests that if the stabilizing influence of the core weakens, the planet's outer shell could enter an unstable rotational state. Rather than a full inversion, the theory predicts a partial reorientation of approximately 104 degrees. This would mean continents and oceans rolling into new positions relative to the spin axis. The planet would not tumble continuously, but instead experience a single violent lurch before settling into a new orientation. The surface consequences of such an event would be profound. Oceans would surge across continents as the planet's rotation adjusts, triggering immense flooding. Regions once near the equator could be thrust toward polar conditions, while others could experience intense heat. Infrastructure built for stable conditions would fail rapidly, and modern civilization would struggle to adapt. This is the worst-case scenario that some believe is motivating billionaires to act now. These individuals often have access to advanced risk assessments, private scientific briefings, and long-range modeling unavailable to the public. Many insiders claim there is a growing sense of urgency among the elite that humanity is approaching a critical threshold. The construction of underground megabunkers reflects not just fear, but strategy. Underground facilities offer protection from seismic activity, surface flooding, extreme temperatures, and atmospheric disruption. Their depth shields occupants from electromagnetic disturbances that could accompany a weakened magnetic field. In essence, these bunkers are designed to ride out a planetary reset. Critics argue that this behavior reflects paranoia rather than foresight. However, the consistency of these preparations across different countries and industries suggests something more than coincidence. When individuals who control vast resources independently arrive at the same conclusion, it raises questions about what information they may be acting upon. If such a geophysical event were to occur, it would change human history irrevocably. Borders, climates, and ecosystems would be reshaped. Populations would be displaced on an unimaginable scale. Knowledge, technology, and culture could be lost or preserved, depending on who prepared in advance. The existence of bunkers capable of sustaining life through such upheaval would create a stark divide between those who planned ahead and those who did not. Ancient flood myths found across civilizations are often cited by proponents of this theory as echoes of a similar event in the distant past. These stories describe sudden waters, shifting lands, and the collapse of earlier worlds. The exothermic core mantle decoupling theory offers a physical mechanism that could explain how such myths originated from real planetary processes rather than pure symbolism. For now, the theory remains unproven, yet the actions of billionaires suggest that even a small probability of such an event is enough to justify extreme preparation. In their view, the cost of building underground sanctuaries is negligible compared to the potential consequences of being unprepared. If a large-scale geophysical shift were to occur in the not-so-distant future, it would alter the world in ways that humanity has never experienced in recorded history. Civilization, as it exists today, is built on the assumption that the planet beneath our feet is fundamentally stable. Continents remain where they are, oceans stay within their basins, and the poles drift only gradually over immense spans of time. The possibility that this stability could suddenly fail introduces a scenario that would reshape geography, society, and human understanding itself, all at once and with little warning. Such an event would not unfold slowly enough for conventional adaptation. A rapid reorientation of the Earth's outer shell would cause the oceans to surge violently across the surface, overwhelming coastlines and penetrating deep into continental interiors. Cities built near sea level, which currently house hundreds of millions of people, would be among the first to be rendered uninhabitable. Infrastructure designed for predictable conditions would cease to function as roads, bridges, power grids, and communication networks were disrupted simultaneously. In a matter of weeks or months, the global map could look entirely unfamiliar. Beyond the immediate physical effects, the shift would radically transform long-established environmental patterns. Regions once known for moderate seasons could find themselves exposed to extremes of heat or cold. Agricultural zones that currently feed billions would no longer support the same crops, leading to widespread food shortages. Supply chains that rely on precise timing and stable transportation routes would collapse under the strain, leaving nations scrambling to secure basic necessities. The concept of economic stability, already fragile in many regions, would dissolve almost overnight. Perhaps the most unsettling aspect of such a future is that humanity would have no practical way to prevent it. Unlike storms, conflicts, or technological accidents, a geophysical event driven by processes deep within the Earth lies completely beyond human control. These forces originate thousands of miles beneath the surface in regions inaccessible to even the most advanced drilling technology. No engineering solution, no political agreement, and no scientific breakthrough could halt or reverse a planetary-scale shift once it began. Humanity would be reduced to a position of observation rather than intervention. The psychological impact of this realization would be immense. For centuries, human progress has been defined by the belief that problems can be solved through ingenuity, cooperation, and innovation. The acceptance that some forces are simply unstoppable would challenge that worldview at its core. Faith in technological mastery would be replaced by a renewed awareness of vulnerability. Entire belief systems, both secular and spiritual, would be forced to grapple with the idea that humanity is not the dominant force on its own planet. Governments would face unprecedented challenges as populations displaced by changing geography sought refuge in newly stable regions. Borders would lose much of their meaning as survival became the primary concern. Political systems designed for gradual change would struggle to function under the pressure of constant crisis. In many places, authority would shift away from traditional institutions toward localized structures capable of responding quickly to immediate needs. The balance of global power could change irreversibly, not through conflict, but through environmental upheaval. Technology, often seen as humanity's greatest advantage, would offer only limited protection. Satellites, communication systems, and navigation networks depend on stable planetary conditions. Sudden changes in Earth's orientation and magnetic environment could disrupt these systems, leaving societies without the digital tools they rely on daily. Advanced machines would still exist, but their usefulness would be constrained by the loss of supporting infrastructure. In this new reality, practical skills and adaptability would become as valuable as technological knowledge.